Welcome to the Get Offset podcast. I'm Emily.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sarah.
Sarah, it's great to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Sarah is part of a group called Striking Matches.
Yeah.
What?
What? Really awesome stuff, just really guitar based, which, I think I appreciate a lot. I'm sure a lot of our listeners will too. I guess for lack of a better word, kind of Americana.
A little bit of Americana, we kind of have self-labeled it as pop rock Americana. So that's
Nice.
kind of the
I
genre.
dig it.
Yeah.
The name says it all. It's your music is straight fire.
Hey, there you
Yes.
go.
Hey,
Thanks.
no, it's
I
got a
like
really.
that.
I've been listening to it all day today, and
Oh, thanks.
admittedly haven't heard of you guys before because I'm
Yeah.
more into the rock metal scene.
Totally.
But good gravy, you've got some serious energy to it, and that's one of my favorite things about music is if the music doesn't make me want to get up and dance or mosh or whatever, then like what's the point?
Yeah.
On the whole, but there's some really
Yeah.
good stuff there. I
Oh,
really dig it.
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
So, Sarah, where might people have heard your music?
Well, we have had some songs on TV, which is probably, unless you found us like on Spotify or in the live world, then you might have heard our music on TV. We've had 9 songs on the TV show Nashville. And this past year we had a song on Grey's Anatomy.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we had a couple of other syncs on a couple of other shows. We had one on American Idol, which was really cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was like in those scenes where the people are auditioning, but they're kind of like it's sort of B-roll stuff. We had one of our songs on that, which we didn't actually even know it was happening. A lot of times, it's happened to us once before where they license the song for the span of the season, and if they use it, they use it. And the first time they didn't end up using it. So the second time they did end up using it, but we didn't know. And Justin's parents were watching and they were like, oh my God, your song is on the show. And we had no idea. So Justin's mom left him this like amazing voicemail that we ended up putting on our social media because it was so funny. So it was really cool. So we've had some songs in the sync world. And then other than that, we're just on, iTunes and Spotify and all that good stuff. So
Awesome. Yeah, just for the listeners, Sarah and I actually went to college together. We were in the same freshman dorm.
yeah.
Though I knew you played guitar and I knew you were much better than me, so I was really afraid of you.
Oh no.
I was like, wow, she's a very good guitarist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank
I'm better
you.
now than I was in college, but
I mean,
yeah.
we all are, I hope.
I hope so, yeah. If you aren't getting better, then
Exactly. What are
that's
you
sad.
doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you aren't getting better, you're getting worse, probably.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that. I know before the episode we were talking a little about your gear and
Yeah.
your sort of minimalistic approach to it. I'd love to hear a
Mhm.
little bit more about that.
Yeah, I have always had a minimalistic approach to gear, and I don't know if that just comes from just I think I'm the type of person that like once I find what I like, that's it. And I'm like I don't even need to know a lot about it. I just know what I like wine, for example. I know what I like in wine. I don't know a lot about wine, but I know what kind of wine I like. And I think I'm that way with like pedals and things like that. It's just I know what I'm looking for. I know what I need to get me to the place that I want to go. And that's all I want. That's all I want to have to carry with me. We travel so much that like having a massive pedal board is hard for me. I'm a small person. And so I like to, and two, like the more stuff you have, the more stuff that can break and go wrong. And I've had that happen too. And it's just like, which one of these is not working? So when I
Which
started
patch
to just
cable
like
is it?
take exactly when I started to just take stuff away and really only use the stuff I needed, then I found myself in a much more peaceful place.
Awesome.
Yes. So I play about probably 99% of the time I play a Gibson SG. Gibson has been very, very good to us over the last year and has just been super supportive of us and of me, especially being a female guitar player and all that. They've just been really cool. And so I'm pretty much SG all the way. I have a white one because I used to actually be like all telly all the time. Justin played a Strat, I played a telly. That was the deal. Justin is my duet partner, by the way,
Mhm.
which we can talk about that later. But and we were making our first record, and it was produced by T-Bone Burnett, who's amazing.
Oh
And
yeah.
I started to play a lot of slide around that time, and so he was like, you should be playing an SG, and you should get a white one because Sister Rosetta Tharpe had a white one. And I was like, well, okay, she's like really awesome, so I will. But I honestly just have an SG from Guitar Center, and it's so rad. I love it. I love the tone. And then I just got a new one. There's a new 2019 Gibson model. And it's this
Mm.
like really cool blue. I think it's called Blueberry Burst or Blueberry Fade. One of those, something to
Oh,
do with blueberry.
nice.
Nice.
But it is also really cool. And so those are my guitars. My pedals, I just have, I got a Boss tuner, and then I have an
Yeah.
OCD. Yep, those OCD overdrive, an MXR reverb, and a Pog octave pedal that I use on a couple of songs, and that is it. And then I have a
Nice.
near my amp. I did have the speaker altered, so I have a larger speaker in there, which makes it a little heavier. But it, I think the Blues Junior sometimes is a little bit boxy, and having this new speaker has taken away the boxiness. So, but that's it. That's all I take with me.
That if you can't make that sound good, then you're doing something wrong. That's a solid little setup.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. So that's my minimalistic approach.
Nice. Love
I
that.
dig it. I in a strange way, I envy that because I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum where I tend to act like overkill is the best kill,
Mhm.
and that's gotten me in trouble before. I'm like, we're going on in 5, and my giant wet dry wet stereo whatever, and there's a one dead patch cable, and I've only got one
Right.
backup, and I hope it's long enough to. And so I found myself more than once like right before we go on like kicking my pedal board, like
Oh
literally
yeah,
kicking
I've
it
done that.
to figure out where
Man.
the crackle is.
Yep.
I can't say I recommend it, but
Yeah, I think last time I played a show, I brought 2 pedals, a volume pedal, and then the
Nice.
Moon Canyon because it just has overdrive, reverb, and delay, and they all sound great. I'm like, I don't want to screw with bringing even my smaller pedal board.
Yeah.
I just want the one pedal. I'm not
Yeah.
playing a lot of songs. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I miss is a volume pedal. I haven't had one of those with me in a long time because the setup that Justin and I do is so we need our feet because Justin's playing guitar and a kick drum, I'm playing guitar and a kick tambourine, and so I can't like use the volume pedal while I'm trying to do the
Mhm.
tambourine, and it's so heavy that I just took it out, but I do miss that having that ability to just like give yourself a little extra or kind of fade in and
Mhm.
out. I kind of miss that. I've had to learn to do it with my hand, which is fine. But I do miss
Yeah.
the volume pedal. You just reminded
Yeah.
me.
Oh, yeah, they're I I get, you said you play the tambourine with your foot and he plays the kick?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be a little much.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, unless you were sitting down, I don't know how you
Right.
would
Yeah,
maintain your
true.
balance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have to do it in heels, and that's hard. But I've practiced many, many
bless
hours.
your soul. I don't.
Oh
I've
my
Yeah,
not fallen
gosh.
yet. So.
Yeah. Yeah, you and Prince, man.
Right. Both just too short.
Mm.
Love Prince.
How tall are you?
Well, I'm 5'4", which is not super short.
That's not short. That's like average for women, I think.
Yeah, but when I'm on stage and I'm wearing flat shoes, I just feel short, and I
Yeah.
think so much of like how you present yourself on stage is part of your performance, and if I feel
hmm
like I don't look good or how I want to look, I don't play as well. So I have to
Totally.
sort of like put that in to my whole deal, which is it's just part of it, I think. And then I try and just have like really cool shoes all the time, so people are always like, your shoes are so
Yeah.
neat. So,
Your
you know,
aesthetic is really great.
thank
It's a weird thing to say,
you.
but like just like the sharp suits that Justin wears, and I think it was the
Yeah.
when you did the instrumental of Gold Digger.
Oh yeah.
What was that whatever you're wearing? I'm like, that's dope.
Thanks. I
Great.
got that off of a store called Nasty Gal, which is an amazing store. I think they only have women's clothes, but they have just like some really rad jumpers and stuff, and they're not very
Nice.
expensive.
Oh,
And
really?
that thing is called Cape It Together. They all have like really funny
Yeah.
names. That's called Cape It Together.
That's funny.
I was like, man, capes are underrated.
I
I was
know.
watching, I'm like, shoot.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
gotta I gotta drop a little rant real quick. Not rant, but like something that I've been thinking about lately is I'm redoing the website, or not redoing. I'm creating a website for my pedal topper company, which I do volume expression wah pedal toppers, and
Cool.
And boss pedal toppers.
boss pedal
Sweet.
toppers. Yeah, and so the thing that I've been kind of wrapping my head around, like the philosophy and how I want to not attack this, but how I want to present this to the world is
Hmm.
because I think that what I have provides value, but it's still very much a superficial thing, and trying to think about it in a way that's like, well, no, actually, this is really important. And so I was up till like midnight last night writing about aesthetic and how that's a really important part of our artistic expression. It's not just about the sound. There's so much more to who we are as artists,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hmm.
just that really rounds out the broader picture. And so,
Yeah.
absolutely, 100%, the way you present yourself, the way you look, the way that you feel, the way you do your hair, the way the colors that
Hmm.
I need to start coloring my hair again.
It's
Goodness.
just about it's about confidence, really.
Yeah,
Totally.
Whatever gives you the
Yeah.
confidence you need to perform, if it's high heels or if it's, having your guitar look a certain way and
Yeah, exactly.
just
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
I'm definitely all about the you do you and don't apologize for it.
Yeah, totally.
Unless
Yeah.
the you
Totally.
is just a total asshole, but you can bleep that
Right, yeah, don't be an
I'm not bleeping
asshole.
out. I'm
out.
not bleeping that out.
So, but
I will
yeah.
say, everyone listening about the bleeps, if you listen to the Louise episode, I had to bleep quite a bit of it. There was one bleep where you could absolutely tell that she was saying the F word still, and my husband looked at me, he's like, "Emily." He's like, "That wasn't bleeped enough." I'm like, "No, it's fine." He's like, "Bleep it more." Come on, Rick.
I didn't know
I
that there
think
were like multiple levels of bleeping.
I just, like, bleeped the, sound, so you can still hear the and the "k."
Gotcha.
see what I think we need to do is we need to bleep it out with meow noises.
Ooh, that's a
Find me a
great
good meow
idea.
noise, Andrew.
I you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna find a good meow noise, and I think that'll just
I think
really
that's
tie together
great.
the aesthetic of this podcast.
Or I'll just
There you
hold
go.
Princess Carrie Fisher up to a microphone and annoy her. As my husband, my cat actually is more of like a squeaky, chirpy meow, but my
Oh.
husband always does the best impression of her meow, and it's "Ah." I don't think anybody wants that.
Yeah, we don't really need to blow out the tweeters on anybody's sound systems.
Oh no, was that loud?
No, it wasn't that loud. I'm just, after who was it? It was Clifton Worley. Someone was talking about how like he was blowing out subwoofers because
he's got he's got a
that
low drawl.
he's got that low drawl.
I love Clifton.
He's great.
It's just so soothing. Just put that on and fall asleep.
I don't think it puts you to sleep. I think I just spend the whole time thinking, "Wow, I wish I had that voice."
It's just so soothing.
It's smooth, like, but
Yeah.
like in a molasses kind of smooth. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop talking now. He's gonna get ideas.
He's gonna be like, that Andrew guy likes me. No.
You know,
So Sarah, you said you have a single coming out, or it will have come out, I guess, by
Yeah, it will have been out March 8th. It's the first single of quite a big project, I think it's going to turn into being. We're going to be releasing probably about 3 EPs over the next year, essentially.
wow.
So this is the first single from the first one. And kind of the idea is that we, we've Jess and I have been a band for 7 years, something like that, and where we started is very different than where we are now, which I think after that amount of time, especially coming from neither one of us intended move to Nashville to be artists, really. We both moved to Nashville to just be guitar players. And so we, our first couple years are figuring it out. And so our stylistically, we've grown, and as players, we've grown, as writers, we've grown. And so we sort of like dip our toes into several different genres, basically. So we write just like a lot of different stuff. And so the idea was, over the last year or two, we've had a hard time because we felt like we had to kind of point in a certain direction and it wasn't really working. And so we were just like, why don't we just do the things that we do, and let's just split them up into, sort of seasons almost, or, parts of a day. And so we're going to do the first EP will be like a little bit more rock oriented. Second EP will be a little bit more pop oriented. And the third one will be a little bit more like Americana live, kind of what our first record was. And it'll be a lot of, there'll probably be a couple like 7-minute songs on that one. And but we really wanted to just kind of give our fans the opportunity to hear all of the things that we do, instead of trying to go in one place and have that sort of be like playing with an arm behind our backs. So, and the way that people listen to music now anyway, we just felt like, let's just pare it down. Let's not do a whole record at once. Let's do 3 EPs that will become a full record of all of these different styles that we feel like we can do. And so that's what
Yeah.
we're gonna do.
I mean, I know I already said this, but I love that. I think that's just such a great idea. The idea of just making it so that there are these cohesive sounds, but also almost not trying to overdo it. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, I think it's kind of perfect. And it reminds me of something I've tried to do before, working with other artists. Like, how about you just do an A side and a B side every month instead of trying to do one
Right.
album all at once?
Exactly.
That makes you think of like when an artist like kind of locks themselves into a sound and then they release an album that's got a different, even it doesn't even have to be that different, it's just a different take on things. There was like, oh well, I like the first album better, they suck, they sold
I
out.
know.
And I think
I know.
that really bothers me.
It's one of my pet peeves, I think, of, and it's hard. I mean, I try and look at it from both sides of the coin, because obviously, like, I'm an artist, but I'm also a music listener and I'm a consumer. And so I try and see it from both sides, because I think I can be like that too. But like from the artist perspective, it's so hard to just be like, okay, I'm just doing this one thing, and the X people liked that one thing, but then there's all these other people that might like this other thing. And so to not even allow yourself to be that kind of artist, I think would be, I don't know if I could do it.
I mean, as a listener and a fan, I love it when artists change things up, because I don't want to listen to the same record every
Exactly.
3
Yeah.
years. Like, what I love about like people like Prince and Elvis Costello is that they have so many different genres. Like, oh, I'm kind of in
Right.
a mood for funk, so I'll put on this Prince record. If I want more rock,
Right.
I'll put on this Prince record. If I want some New Jack Swing, that one. Like, and it,
Yep.
yeah, I think it just enables people to have a deeper relationship with your music.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not opposed to like having like having locking yourself down into a sound. I think that's totally fine if that's the kind of thing that the artist wants to do, because then they're still
Totally.
inspired, they're
Absolutely.
still getting to it. And I think it becomes a problem when it's like, oh well, you've locked yourself in here, now you're kind of stuck. And that's where
Exactly.
when I get the sense that the artist is tied down or just is stuck in a
Right.
rut, that's when that's problematic. I think we got to give our artists permission to step out of the box a little bit, think outside the
Yeah.
bun, like
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. It all comes back to Taco Bell.
Crunchy.
I'd be fine with that. Or cheesy.
Sawdust.
There you go. We're both.
I like Taco Bell.
I haven't been to Taco Bell in many, many years.
Yeah, it's been a while. There's so many alternatives out here.
Taco Time is great. I don't think I've been
Yeah.
to Taco Bell since I've had access to Taco Time.
What about Del Taco?
You know, I've got an interesting history with Del Taco, but we can get into that another time.
To be honest, I don't like Taco Time.
I've never even heard of Taco Time.
I like it for what it is.
It's like a cleaner Taco Bell.
I like it better than Chipotle, hands down.
Yeah, that's a place I haven't been to in years.
Yeah, I kind of stopped going after everybody got sick. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I won't touch that if I have a choice.
After like the third or fourth time, like once I'm like, I'll forgive you. Twice, maybe not. 3 times, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put my body at risk.
What everybody seems to forget is like Chipotle was owned by McDonald's at one point in time, I don't
Yeah,
think
it
they still
was.
are, but like I feel like they still run it kind of
Oh.
it like it is a fast food chain, and so
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
people
sure.
just get fooled and lured into the whole like, oh, it's like this is good quality food. And not to say that it's not,
it
but like,
is. I mean, it was like higher quality.
but like let's be honest with ourselves. It's still fast food. I don't know.
It is fast, but fast doesn't have to mean bad. It can just mean like well operated and well run. Like think about food trucks. People love food trucks. Is that not fast
True.
food?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's fair. I don't know.
Like
Point.
is Ma's
Good point.
Tacos fast food?
Oh, good point.
Mm. Oh my God,
Mm.
Ma's Tacos.
I mean, fast food has its place, like In and Out, best burger chain in the nation.
I still think you're wrong.
No, I just like it for the nostalgia, and it gives me an excuse to just say little things like that, like best burger chain out there. And I'm not sure I agree with that, but it's my favorite, and so I just like to interject that and wait for the
Uh-huh.
awkward silence of everybody running through the list of the 18 other different burger joints that they prefer.
What's Nashville's big burger joint though?
uh, Burger Up. I
Oh,
don't. We just got a Shake Shack in
oh,
Green Hills.
yeah,
Um,
Andrew, I told you Shake Shack.
yep, Shake Shack is very good.
I still haven't been to the one in Seattle.
It's really good. I think a lot of people compare In and Out and Shake Shack, and they're like, Shake Shack's better, In and Out's better. But I just don't think. I think they're just different, and I think
Yeah,
they should be appreciated for what they are individually.
In and Out's definitely its own thing.
In-N-Out's fries are garbage.
I resent that.
You represent that?
Mm.
No, I resent
Sorry, I
that.
said that with a mouthful of whiskey.
No, I like the fries. I don't expect everybody else to like them. In and Out's I don't defend In and Out for everybody else. I don't think everybody has to like it. It's just something that I personally deeply enjoy, and I just don't want people telling me that I can't enjoy it or that my taste is bad. It's my thing.
Well, yeah, that's no one's right to do that.
All right. So on that note, should we thank our sponsor, In-N-Out?
No, our sponsor is actually
Yes.
Taco Bell. Speaking of which, so
No.
425 order a Crunchwrap Supreme.
You know what? I love those
There you go.
quesadillas. Whatever that sauces they put in them is whew.
It's funny because I said
Never had one.
425 because that's 5 minutes after you're supposed to get high every day.
Every day.
No.
Interesting.
God, are you okay, Andrew? I'm a little worried about you.
Man, I'm cool. I'm doing great. Sorry.
I got someone reached out to me to
Feeling the
give me some
vibes.
free CBD oil, and they told me to take 3 drops 3 times a day. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
I haven't tried
I'm
that stuff yet. There's a spot that just opened right down the street from my
The
house
CBD oil.
that sells it. Yes, they're everywhere now.
I'm pretty decidedly an alcohol and caffeine kind of guy. I like what I like. I don't know.
Well,
There you go. Yeah.
I think someone said, well, my mom read that CBD oil is hard on your liver. So she said she hadn't been taking the stuff I gave her. I'm like, well, so is alcohol.
Wait, what?
So is Tylenol.
Yeah, true.
Ibuprofen's awful for your liver. That's why, fun fact, you're not
So it's bad
supposed.
for your stomach. It's bad for your stomach.
It's all bad for everything except pain.
I think you're not supposed to take it like immediately after to prevent a hangover. So like if you've been drinking at night, I've heard that you're not supposed to take it like before you go to sleep. You gotta wait till the morning till your liver's had a
Oh,
chance to settle out.
I don't think it's I
wow.
think that's more I think it's actually a stomach ulcer thing. Like, I know Tylenol is just
Mm.
really bad for your liver, but I
Right.
think that
Mhm.
ibuprofen is hard on your stomach.
Well, maybe that's it. I don't know.
I think you
But
might
you're
be
not
right.
supposed to have it on
Yeah.
an empty stomach. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know. Anyways, our sponsor is not Taco Bell, and
Not
we are all
Not
we
Tylenol.
are good human beings that don't do the devil's lettuce. Why would we do that? And
I like their lettuce.
I've actually never tried it.
No, just like this, like the crap they put on the taco.
Oh, the Taco Bell's lettuce. Yeah, the like air lettuce.
It makes me feel better about eating it.
yeah, it's Taco Bell
It's
lettuce is the
green, right?
devil's lettuce.
Green.
What else would the devil's lettuce be?
Yeah,
Kale.
exactly.
No,
Kale.
Oh,
I like
Kale.
Chard.
kale. I'm
Chard.
Swiss chard.
Swiss chard.
good gravy. This is just going straight off the rails. And
Apologize in advance to Chad.
yes, sorry, Chad. We've blemished this episode.
We blemished your sponsorship forever.
Yeah. So Chad Jennings, the man, the wonder, the incredible guitar builder, This is
Luthier extraordinaire.
this is why we're supposed to
Mhm.
script this out. I feel like I'm just winging this. All I know is that he makes great guitars for an incredible price, handmade in the USA. Yeah, they look really great, and I'm definitely buying one this year. That's the plan.
All right. Sarah, have you seen his guitars? Chad Jennings guitars?
I haven't. I'm about to
Let's-
Google them though.
Yeah.
Check it out. It
He has he does a really great dog hair finish we've talked about before.
and his custom builds are just insanely well priced. Like for a custom build, a lot of places you're looking at 4 to 5K, and I think
Mhm.
the one I'm looking at getting, he starts at like right around the $2,000 mark.
Wow.
And his telly build, it's just called the Navigator, starts at 15.
Mhm.
Like that's
Cool.
the same cost of a no. I think the Fender American Professionals are up to
It's
1650
more
now.
expensive.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And
Yeah.
he's a one-man shop right now. It's
Wow.
all the necks are hand
It's
carved.
amazing.
Yeah.
Dang.
So for the quality of what you're getting at the price point is
Right.
unbeatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fender
Totally.
is got to pick up the game if I'm going to buy something new from them again, as opposed to a Jennings
Sure.
at that price point.
Mm.
So
There you go.
I mean, I'm gonna buy that tenor guitar that they're putting out regardless.
well, you like
Ooh,
tenors.
that's fun.
I love tenor guitars. I mean, my hands aren't super small, but they're smaller than some.
Same.
Yeah. We manage.
We do. We get by. I have thumbs that are toe thumbs, if you've ever heard of those. If you haven't, give it a Google. But my thumbs are really short and stubby and look like toes. And so that, like, my hands are just small and I have small little toe thumbs, but we get by.
Huh. I have not actually heard of that. Well, how about that?
Give it a Google. Megan Fox has one.
Just one?
I believe it's more common to have one. I think it's more common to have one than it is to have two, but I have been blessed with two.
At least you have the symmetry.
That's true. I'm actually very grateful for that. I'd rather have two than just one. I'd rather have like normal thumbs, but I didn't get those. So
That probably just forced you into proper playing techniques.
I hope so. I mean, I use my thumb quite a bit on both hands, but they're definitely shorter than the average thumb and wider.
Oh, I can't wrap around on a neck and use my thumb for the low strings. I can't do it.
Really?
Like
Ah.
I was always told to not, and so I've just never tried to make that a thing.
I was also told
It's
to
one
not.
of my favorite. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite techniques. I
Yeah.
use it all the time.
I think
love it.
Yeah, I prefer it.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe one day when I expand past my genting ways, I'll look into it.
All right.
Yeah.
So do we want to talk about the topic?
I mean, probably it's about that
Sure.
time of the day.
It is about the time to talk about the topic. Andrew, you didn't say today that we're going to talk about stuff and things.
Stuff and things.
Things and stuff and hats and boots.
Boots and hats and boots and hats.
10 hats.
That sign isn't there in Nashville anymore, is it, Sarah? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
And near like off Lower Broadway, there used to be a store that had that big neon sign that said hats, boots, hats, boots.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't actually know. I mean, it's probably not, to be honest, but it might be. I mean, people still come in from out of town and go get their 3 pairs of boots for $100 or whatever it is.
That's a good deal, but if you can find 3 pairs of boots that don't terrify you.
Yeah.
They're pretty ugly boots, most of them.
I used to wear boots
but
at one point in time, and it never jived with me.
Yeah, I've never been able to do the cowboy boots.
Yeah. Cowboy boots are a special thing.
True. They are, and I think only certain people can really make them work, and I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, I have like a lot of rounded toe boots, like not quite Doc Martens, but more in the vein of Doc Martens.
Mm-hmm.
And those seem to suit me a little better. So how often do y'all make it out to the West Coast?
Trying to make it out there more. We just did NAMM, which was really cool. But for like shows, we did like a small West Coast run in, when was that? I think it was the early fall, I'm pretty sure. But we did like San Francisco, LA, San Diego. We didn't get up to Seattle. or Portland or anything. It's been a couple years actually, so we're way overdue for getting back there. But we're now, with all the new music coming out, we're starting to work on the tour dates. So hopefully soon, hopefully before long.
Awesome. How was NAMM? I think that's what you were talking about when Andrew joined.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really cool. We went 2 years ago, and it was a little overwhelming for us. There were just so many people, and we were literally only there for one performance, and it was just like a lot. But this year Gibson brought us out to
Oh,
play,
wow.
to do some like demos in their booth, and then do like an actual show for them. And it was just really cool. They've done a really nice job at kind of coming back, and it was really cool. We really enjoyed it. We didn't get to see a lot. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
so much.
Oh, yeah.
But we got to see a few good things, and just got to play some really cool instruments, and it was a lot of
Nice.
fun. And then we went to Disneyland, obviously. So that was great
That's
too.
great.
Disneyland.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I'm hoping to go to Disneyland soon. I think that's the plan.
When the kiddo's a smidge older.
I think we're going down to California sometime this year.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's the tentative plan. There may or may not be a Disneyland trip involved.
Yeah, I might try to do summer. I might try to do summer NAMM this year in Nashville, because I've been needing to get back to Nashville. It's been 5 years. Actually 4 years.
Wow.
We moved away about 4 years
That's crazy.
ago. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, keep me posted. I'm sure we'll be there.
Yeah, totally. Get in with those dwarfcraft peeps.
There you go. Yeah.
So, shall I let's see here. I have one question because I heard a hint of something earlier this episode, and I wanted to flesh it out a little bit. And so I'm just going to ask a really pointed and very obviously I'm going to provoke a response here that I think I'm going to get very intentionally. So
all right.
So Sarah, what is it like being married to your bandmate? Because I'm just going to assume that you guys are obviously together.
We're not married. Yes, we're not married, but we are together. And I mean, I think I don't know. It's great for me and us, and it really works. I think my favorite part about my and our career is that we get to go through the highs together, and we go through the lows together. So we're never alone in any of it. There's always somebody to celebrate with. There's always somebody to commiserate with. There's always a travel buddy. You never have to, take these flights and do all this stuff alone, which I never wanted to be a solo artist, or a solo anything. Like, I did give a solo career a go before I moved to Nashville. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't like it. I'm by myself. I hate it. Because I grew up playing with people, which I think we'll get to in a minute. And so being able to have a career with your person is great. I don't know that it's for everyone. I think some people are very like, they need their thing, and they're on their own, and they're doing their thing, and then their person is doing their thing, and then they see each other at dinner every night, and that's cool too. I think everybody's different in that way, but I think it definitely works for me, and it works for us, and it's my favorite part about what we do is the fact that we get to do it all together.
Aww,
that's very heartwarming.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's always nice to see people who can actually do that together, because I know some people just could not like work with their partner.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you see it happen where people do, and then it doesn't work out and all of that stuff. And I think, I don't know, I've never been worried about that part of it. It's just, of course it's going to work out. It's all fine.
Yeah.
But I think we also we really rely on each other to get through stuff, and to, get on stage every night, and we use each other as help up, and I think that's part of it too, is knowing how to have that balance and all of that. So.
Oh, that's great. I actually didn't realize that.
We don't make a thing out of it. That's the main thing, is like, it's not part of our, some bands that are that way, make it a part of their whole thing, which I think is great and it's cool, but it's not the thing we want everyone to focus on.
Oh yeah.
So for us, it's sort of like if you know, you know, and that's cool. But if you don't, that's cool too.
And if you want us to cut that, we can.
No, it's cool.
All right.
I was just asking the point question. Something you said earlier made me think that like you guys weren't together, but people would assume that was a thing all the time, and that was I just completely
Yes.
misread that. I know who was it? Like Iron and Wine. I think that was their dynamic because they weren't together. I think that was the band name.
Oh yeah, right.
Wait, are there two people? I thought Iron and Wine was just Sam Beam.
I think there's only one in Iron Wine. Right.
What band? I forget. Civil Wars, maybe? Was that it?
Civil Wars. You're thinking of the Civil
Yeah.
Wars.
Oh right, yeah. Civil Wars. Everybody thought they were together, but they were like both
Right.
married.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
And I
Yeah, no, we don't need to go
A
there.
little awkwardness there. They're not a band anymore for a reason, I assume.
I know.
well,
They were so good.
Yeah, I have no
together.
idea. They were so great. Yeah. But yeah, I mean there is that. I think it's like usually one way or the other. People assume that we are, or they assume that we're not. But they always ask, and we always just tell them whatever we feel like on that day. Sometimes we tell them, and sometimes we like make up some story and
Oh, I like that.
that we're arch enemies, and it's a good time.
We actually we hate each other so much.
Yep, we've used
we're
that
actually
one.
siblings.
That's where the music comes from. Oh.
And
Yeah, sometimes people they'll say like, "Are you married? Are you brother and sister?" And we'll just say both.
Well,
You're not that far south.
what happens in Alabama stays in Alabama.
Exactly.
Woof. Okay. I'm glad we don't have any listeners in Alabama.
Yeah, that.
If we did, we're about
Not
to lose them.
yet.
Oh, it's not like that's the first time that joke's ever been made.
Does that make
True.
it okay?
Well,
All right, I apologize on behalf of everything that everyone has just said.
I'm just a doofus. What can I say? I'm just
That's not the worst joke.
I'm a grade A doofusaurus.
It's gonna be my next band.
So.
Grade A Doofusaurus playing at Bonnaroo.
Ooh, yes. Playing at the other tent.
That's actually going to be the name of my new solo project. Grade A
There you go.
Doofusaurus.
I love it.
Mine is yeah, that's a good one.
I'll play for kids' birthday parties exclusively.
Oh, that would be good, Andrew.
That is good.
It's such a good market for kids music in Seattle.
That would really.
Casper Baby can't play every gig. It's a real person.
I believe you.
Cool.
I
That's
will
awesome.
take your word for it wholeheartedly.
It's the guy from the Presidents of the United States of America. He started a kids
Oh,
thing called
what?
Casper
wow.
Baby Pants. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Huh. That's a career
played-
shift.
Interesting.
He's played our events.
I didn't.
Well, not like the events I've worked.
No, I think I think now that I'm thinking about it, I think he wasn't he there at Timber last year?
No, he wasn't at Timber. He was at Chomp.
Huh.
It's that free festival in Redmond in August.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh.
Small world. Well, speaking of
Sure.
kids and music.
Oh, good
there's
one.
our
Good
segue. Yeah.
Wow.
Dang.
I was getting there.
impressive.
It took a little longer than I anticipated, but I was intentionally building that up.
So Sarah, the one thing I really knew about you when Belmont started, and I don't know why I knew this, but was that you were part of a School of Rock program.
I was. So the School of Rock, probably the reason you knew about it was because I was like gone all the time, and everybody was always like, "Where'd Sarah go?" Like I would never go to any of those. They'd have like the Hair and Hall meetings, and I was never there because I was gone like every weekend.
Oh, there were meetings
for this thing. I think so. There were on our floor anyway. They always had, but we were in the basement, so it was weird in the basement.
The basement was the easier place to sneak boys into.
There were like 8 of us. You know, I was so worried about getting in trouble that like none of that was happening in my dorm.
Oh, that definitely happened in mine.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I think there was
right
one
by
girl
the stairwell,
that
so it was easy.
about that way. Oh, easy, yeah.
I think that
I mean, you definitely could have snuck people in and out the window. But
what did you say, Andrew?
I called you all heathens. Why?
Okay.
Oh my goodness, my poor little sheltered soul. That never happened at my undergrad.
So
So, yeah, that might be where, but, it was that or, like, that big Facebook group.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. True, true. Well, with that said, so I was a part of this program called yeah, at the time it was called the Paul Green School of Rock. Now it's just called School of Rock. Because Paul Green sold it. But this program started in Philadelphia in, I want to say, the late 90s or early 2000s. And they started to open basically like franchises, kind of.
Mhm.
And the first one that was not in Philly was opened in my hometown of Downingtown, which is about 40 miles west of Philly. And I joined the program as a student. My older brother knew the kids whose parents were opening the school, and so he became a teacher. I became a student, and at the time, I mean, even now, I think now there's like, don't quote me on this, but there's probably close to 100 schools nationwide. But at the time, there were two. And as I was going, I was about 15 or 16 when I joined. And so they had the main school in Philadelphia and a program called the All Stars, which they still have. They're just all sort of regionally based, and they do less than they did when I was in it. So when I was in it, um, got into this All Stars program, and we toured all over the country. We played with John Anderson from Yes. We played with John Wetton from Asia. Some of the kids played with Peter Frampton. I didn't get to, which I was very sad about that. But so this program, basically, you'd go in for like your weekly lesson, still this way. You go in for your weekly lesson, and then there are several seasonal shows. So, like, my first show was funk and reggae. And so you get assigned like 5 funk and reggae songs. And then at the end of the season, you put on a show.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that was kind of the deal, and I think there were like 2 or 3 seasons essentially a year. So I remember I did a funk and reggae one, I did a Led Zeppelin one, I did a women in rock one, which was all women artists and musicians. And it was the coolest thing because just the timing of it for me was really, really great because I was in my teens and I got to sort of just work on my performance skills. And we went to Germany and did the Zappanale
Nice.
Festival. I went to Sweden and worked with kids over there. Like, it was just a really, really cool program to get to be a part of. And
Yeah.
um,
That's
so,
so
and I did it
cool.
through, yeah, I did it all the way through my first year in college. They just kept asking me to come back and do stuff. So I was like, sure, whatever, I'll
Yeah.
come do it. I get paid for it now. So
Nice.
that was fun. Um, so it was a really great thing. And it just like was a way for me to sort of learn how to be a performer,
Ah,
and
yeah.
make relationships. I still keep in touch with some of the kids. One of the drummers that was in it drums for Dr. Dog now. Like, there are some one of the bassists, she plays with Adrian Ballou. Like, there's just some cool stuff that some of the kids that I went to the school with at the time are doing. And so it was really, really cool. And just to have that kind of a music education which was barely based on theory and mostly just based on being creative and learning songs. That's what you did in your lessons. You
Yeah.
learned how to play the songs. So that's where I learned to play slide.
And with other people.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is a skill that you can't get by just taking regular music lessons.
No, I
Yeah.
remember taking regular music lessons, and most of the time, like, if, and that was a big if, we had a recital,
Mhm.
it would just be, like, us with the
Right.
guitar or on the piano or
Hmm.
whatever. And then it was in high school, I think my teacher must have been kind of inspired by that,
Hmm.
because he took that approach where he would have recitals and they would be at a real place in public, not some random ass little bookstore,
Right.
but like, yeah, like outdoor concerts that were a big deal. And there'd be the people you were playing with were like other
Right.
students. And that was just so, so cool. And especially, I feel like if you're not in like band,
Right.
or, like, if you play guitar, like, maybe you get to be in jazz band,
Right. Hmm.
but other than that, like, there's not really any structured opportunities to, learn how to play with other people.
Exactly. Hmm. Yep. And I think
Yeah.
that just that skill, especially if you want to go into music, you've got to be able to play with other people. And so having that from a very early age was, I think, really, really great for me.
Yeah.
So
And did you already play guitar when you started with
I
that?
did. I started playing guitar when I was 10. So my
Nice.
dad is he's a woodwind player. So he used to play in like the pit orchestras when all the musicals would come off of Broadway and tour into Philadelphia, and he repairs musical instruments for a living. So when I was a kid, he worked at a music store teaching lessons and fixing horns. And so I would go after school and hang out. I'd have a clarinet lesson and whatever. And I, at some point, just I saw this like little kid, almost kid size electric guitar, and I was like, Dad, I really want to play that. And I must have bugged him for like a year. And finally, he bought me an acoustic guitar. He was like, "You're not getting the electric, you're getting the acoustic. That's the way it is." I was like,
Aw.
"Fine." He's like, "If you stick it out, you can have an electric in a year." And I was like, "Okay." And so I started taking lessons at the music store, and I did end up getting an electric eventually for my birthday.
Yay.
And then kind of just like took lessons on and off until the School of Rock thing happened, and then I took lessons, but again they were less there was no reading involved, which I loved. Sight reading, actually, that was one of my favorite parts about Belmont. Is like, I still, if I can find something to sight read, I'll do it. But I
Nice.
loved it, having that element, and also like I grew up playing clarinet and violin, and so having those skills, it doesn't really help me in my everyday artistry, but I like to have it in my back pocket if I need it. um
Oh yeah.
but the School of Rock thing was not that at all. There was no reading. There was no, uh, really no theory with my teachers anyway, which that's probably something that kids could have used, was theory, because I didn't really know a lot of
Mhm.
theory until I got to college. And then I was sort of in trouble a little bit with my school, with my grades, but that didn't matter in the end. Um, but the School of Rock just, it gave you strength in your ear, because you had to go home and learn these songs. And then the teachers would like help
Oh
guide
yeah.
you, but it was really more about going home, learning your songs, and then having to learn how to play them on stage. And so that was the teaching method, which I think it still is. And I think it was great. It was a great opportunity to get to do. And
There's something
yeah.
about knowing that you're going to play on stage that makes you really want to practice, because there's nothing like having those nightmares of like, oh
Exactly.
no, I
Totally.
forgot my parts. And uh, I'm a doofus enough where I've done that
Exactly.
live and
Yep.
got up there, just flubbed a guitar solo. I'm like, well, that was embarrassing. I probably should have practiced that more.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that there are these programs now that seem to be really focused around more of a real world experience
Mhm.
for kids, like more real world musicianship,
Totally.
and not just playing with other people, but also like Andrew said, like playing in front of an audience, a
Mhm.
real
Yep.
audience, playing real songs, like going home and having to learn a part either by ear or if it's on Pro Tab or
Right.
whatever. Um, there's a lot to be said for that, and, it's something that I wish that had really existed more when I was young. I
Mhm.
especially think about programs like, the rock and roll girls camps,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Southern Rock Girls Camp
Mhm.
in Nashville and Middle Tennessee,
Mhm.
or the Rain City Rock Camp up here, especially just for, catering to young women,
Yeah.
girls
Mhm.
who I mean, I don't know, about your experience, but I was from a really rural area when
Mhm.
I started playing. I listened to what was considered really weird music. And if there had been something, yeah, and if there had been something like
Well, let's be honest. Prince is eccentric.
Prince is very famous.
True.
He is, but it's non-traditional, which is good. I
Mhm.
It
like
wasn't
that.
pop. It wasn't like what was on the
Right,
radio. It
sure.
wasn't Linkin Park.
Mhm.
But and
Yep.
I listened to stuff weirder than that too. Um, but if I had had something like a rock camp or even a rock school,
Mhm.
I think it would have made me feel a little bit less like a weird kid.
Yep,
Like, oh,
sure.
here are these other people who like listen to the replacements
Yeah.
and not even like my age or even the instructors.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, that was something that I think was so valuable to me because I was that way too. My dad raised me on like Steely Dan and like just stuff that my friends were not listening to. And also just being when you're 16 and you are a girl and you play guitar, like you are an odd person out. Like I mean, at least
Mhm.
I was not the cool girl. I was not popular or anything like that. But having this
Oh,
place
hell
to go,
no.
where all of my friends were also players and there was nothing odd or different about it. It was just we were all there doing the same thing, learning the same stuff, and there was a community that I don't think I would have gone to where I am now if I didn't have that then. Because it also forces you. A lot of the kids I found, and myself included, that were involved were like me, and the fact that they weren't the cool kids and they were shy, and the stage brought something out of us. And so giving kids an outlet like that is, I think, so valuable. And I wish there was more of it. So the more stuff like that I see, I'm like, how can I get involved and how can I be a
Mhm.
part of that, because it's just so great. And having lived it, and I can see it's very visible to me the effect that had on me.
Yeah, and do you still participate in, the rock school?
I don't as much. I did when they first opened here. My brother, actually, the same one who taught at the school that I grew up in, moved down here to teach at the one here. But he left that job, and I think it may have changed ownership a few times, and so I just sort of like lost communication with the people running it. And we've been so busy too. But at first, we would come in and do sort of like a master class type of thing, and it was pretty
Nice.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's, actually a school of rock right next to my boxing gym in my neighborhood.
Oh,
So I
nice.
go to the gym, and then every time I go by the school of rock, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Maybe if I get some free time, I should, like, see if they need some help." But,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, I've
The funny thing is I just noticed that there's one over in my neck of the woods. A couple weeks ago, I was like, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
strange." And, I was like, "Huh, I wonder what the deal is with
Yeah.
that. Wonder if that's like, did Jack Black start it, or is this an actual thing,
That
or"
is what is funny is this school, as far as I know, started before that movie came out. So,
I'm pretty
but
sure it
That
did,
movie
yeah.
yeah,
was what, 2005?
What's that?
something like that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
even
lem
so.
before
This our
that.
early '90s. You got some.
Yeah, I don't even know.
yeah. No, that's really cool. It's something I just wanna do more of because I feel like those things have become more prominent. I think we can see the results of it.
Totally.
I
Yep.
feel like there are a lot more, like, especially awesome women starting
Mhm.
bands,
Yep.
especially in Nashville.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
it's kinda there's a really great community of, like, indie rock, punk pop women
Mhm.
starting bands, and
Yeah.
that's, like, not something I really anticipated,
No, I know.
when I first moved to Nashville in, like, 2007, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
been I have noticed it over the last couple of years how um it's just become a thing, and it's so great that women are finally being able to get out. Not that we haven't before, but like I th- I don't know. I have an interesting take on it all because I didn't grow up thinking that it was like weird that I was a girl and I played guitar. It was just like what I did, and no one else thought it was weird. And I also never really experienced anything until I was an adult. And like we'd go to a show and we'd be setting up, and after the show, somebody would come up to me and they said, "I thought you were just that guy's girlfriend before you started to play." And it's like it still happens, and it's so annoying, but I never experienced that growing up. So none of that ever was like a part of my mindset. It was just like, I play guitar. It's what I do. That's cool. Whatever. And so I've always like carried that with me. But it's been over the past couple of years that I've noticed like, wow, there's some like imbalance here that I didn't
Oh,
see.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
even like as a young adult, I didn't see it. But now it seems like it's starting to, hopefully it's starting to balance itself out, and there are just
Yeah.
some great women artists and players that are becoming known, which is so exciting and just like opening the doors. And so it's a good time to be in Nashville as a part of that too. And it's exciting.
Oh, totally. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about with the rock camps
Yeah.
is, like, I know that all 3 of us kind of agree that they're great, but I don't know if any of you have heard I I don't wanna describe it as fogeyism, but it is kind of old fogeyism. I've definitely heard some people say, "Oh, well, I didn't have that when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you just had to find like your other people and you had to work to start a band and then you had to like book your own shows."
Mhm.
And um I don't know, like for me I think I've said this a couple episodes recently, but don't we just always want the world to be better for future generations?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's that. There's also the whole like, well, Steve Jobs started Apple in his garage,
Sure.
but that does that mean that none of us should ever go to business
Right.
school? I
Yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
true. Yeah.
like props to Steve, great job. Like seriously, well
Yeah.
done, respect that. But not everybody's gonna do that.
Yeah,
So
and
Right.
it's
I
the
don't.
idea of you shouldn't like compare yourself to prodigies. I think it's so easy to do.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh man, when like Prince again, when Prince was 19, he already put out like an album and all this stuff. Like, yeah, well, there are people who didn't like pick up the guitar until they were 30 and like they're great. Like it's kind of you can't judge yourself based on what other people do. You just have to do what's best for you. And if what's best for you is to not do any of these like programs or
Mhm.
things, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
I guess I do want to ask like do you feel like there was anything missing from doing that kind of experience versus like having to book shows on your own as a teenager? Like is that something that became harder to learn?
Um, I think there was a little of that because once I was like 17 or 18, I was still in the program, but I was also playing guitar with a friend of mine who she did book her own shows and I would kind of help do some of that stuff and um you definitely did not have that skill. Everything was pretty much taken care of. Your flights were always taken care of. Your, travel was always sorted by someone else because they were obviously they had a massive liability of having 20 children traveling, so
Right, right.
that was always all sorted. And I do think that there is like that side of being being an artist or being a player or whatever that the school didn't do and didn't help with. I think even now there's probably even more of a need for something like that involved in a program like that because of social media, which really didn't exist
Mhm.
when I was doing this. Facebook was about it and you really didn't promote your
It's
stuff
MySpace.
on. Yeah, exactly. So I wonder if now they might even have something like that, but like maybe there would be a weekend where they do like a camp on how to book your own shows and how, because ultimately all these kids end up forming their own bands and writing music anyway. So,
Oh
you
yeah.
have like
Right,
the
right.
shows that you got to put on, but then people, join up and make music together. And they didn't give us that skill of how to do any of that stuff. So that would have been a
Right. I
helpful
mean,
thing.
obviously the music part of it, yeah, you've got to be able to set these kids up for success
Hmm.
to do well later on because just because they can play doesn't mean they're not going to get chewed up and spit back out by the
Exactly.
industry.
Exactly.
Um,
Yep.
so when I was growing up, it was the dynamic was if you wanted to play in a band, you had three options. One, you had to make friends, which wasn't exactly my forte.
Same.
Yeah,
Two,
same.
join the church band,
Right. Yeah.
which I did. My mom was on the youth staff, and I was there early all the time, anyways. And so I had a pair of drumsticks, and I didn't, for reference, I didn't start taking guitar seriously until I was an adult. So throughout high school, I was just a drummer through and through,
Hmm.
and I still love drums. So I picked up a pair of drumsticks and I just joined the band, and that's what I did. And that's where a lot of my experience came from. And then the other option was to join the school band,
Hmm.
which was probably one of the more valuable experiences I
Yeah,
had. But
Mhm.
definitely.
I didn't do any of the booking. The high school I went to, the jazz band was the band that brought in most of the revenue
Hmm.
to make up for the lack of state funding.
Wow.
And so our band teacher was our promoter. We played all up and down Southern
Huh,
California
that's
at different
cool.
events and stuff.
Oh man, we didn't
Got
do
paid for
that.
Yeah,
stuff.
we didn't either.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
cool.
definitely feel like we were getting cashed out a little bit.
Yeah.
It was only the spring semester, but we would play a couple gigs a week.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it was
That's really cool.
That is
like we'd go
cool.
play like at the local prison and like they'd requested Freebird, so we
That's
learned how to
really
play
cool.
Wow.
Freebird.
That's really
So,
cool. I
but
was
then the other,
I was such a little murderino. Like I loved like unsolved mysteries. I was like prison, prison.
What'd you do to get in?
Like what you in
but
for?
I mean, those are the three options in my little town. And I never learned how to do promoting, and I
Yeah.
got off to college. I'm like, I want to find people to play with, but like all I knew was like how to join the school jazz band. And quite frankly, I'm a decent drummer, but I was never amazing.
Yeah.
And so I go off to college and I meet these other people who are like auditioning for the jazz band. I'm like, oh my goodness, you actually, oh wow, you took lessons your entire life. Ooh, yikes. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, I can't keep up with that. And so
Right.
I didn't really try. So I played for the church I was attending for like 5
Yeah.
years. And don't get me wrong, for the style of music I'm into, and that has been a great experience for me, and I've always enjoyed playing at church. But it's a
Nice.
very different niche and very much important for people to have these kinds of skills.
Totally.
That's not something that church prepared me for many other different things, musically speaking,
Yeah.
but that wasn't one of them. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, on that note, Sarah, is there anything else you wanna talk about? Shout out, promote?
Oh man.
this is your
This
chance.
is my time to shine. I don't know. I think that's it. I think we've got, you know, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all of that, just at Striking Matches, and we've got a lot of new music coming out this year, and hopefully doing a bunch of touring very soon and all that good stuff. And
I
yeah,
don't suppose you'll be swinging through the Seattle area.
Oh, we
I'm
were just
sure
talking
we
about
will.
that.
Yeah, I'm sure we will be eventually. It's been a little too long since we've been up to Seattle, so I'm sure we will be.
I'll have to carve time out of my schedule to make sure
Yeah.
I attend that show.
Yeah, and I'll say, I've really been loving those little, like, 30-second videos you've been posting on Instagram.
Thanks.
Yeah. Was it, El King, I
Oh
think?
yeah, I did an El King one. Yeah, I've been trying to
That
do.
was dope.
Thank you. I've been trying to do more of those kinds of things. Like I'll take a pop song and whatever kind of like the drop is, I'll learn it on slide and then I'll make a video of doing that just to almost show that like you can play anything on the guitar. Dang it.
Yeah, pop
But
music needs more guitars.
exactly. And honestly, I think pop music
Agreed.
is getting more guitars. I think I notice it more and more like guitar intros, and I think it is starting to some of it is getting like more rappy, but also I think there's a lot of it that is actually coming back into more guitars, which is really exciting. I'm very pumped about
Nice.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So what's the new single?
It's called Don't Hold Back.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely post a link to that. We have a Facebook group for everyone listening. It's the Get Offset Podcast Facebook group. And I do a visual thread there for almost every episode, as long as I'm near a computer within the next couple days after it drops, which is typical. So I'll post links to that and some of the other things we've talked about, probably some videos from the TV show Nashville.
Yeah.
Which I liked that show. I liked that show because I could watch it. I could laugh at the idea of somebody walking from the Gulch to East Nashville,
Right.
or like walking out of Fido and stopping at a coffee cart.
Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I could call my grandmother and we could talk about it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Aw.
she
I
loved that
I
show.
really liked it, especially in the beginning. I was very into it. I kind of once it was off of ABC and I didn't have whatever the network it moved to, I
Yeah.
kind of lost it. But I mean, having the songs on there was really really cool for us, and like that show was huge in England too. And so now we've got this really great UK fan base, really thanks to starting with that show because they knew our songs that were on it. And so we've had
Yeah.
the ability to
Didn't
like
your first
go and
album debut #1
yeah, I
on
think
the
so.
UK
Yeah.
iTunes chart? Yeah.
What?
Um, so yeah, so that show, I will always be so, so appreciative of that show and the people that worked on it. And we've made so many good friends of like the cast of that show. And so I'm a little sad that it's over because it was sort of this community that has somewhat dwindled because everybody's got to go, you know, they got to get jobs and that makes sense. And so a lot of the folks have moved
Yeah.
out of town and or don't come into town as often. But I'm super grateful for that show and what it's done for us just as songwriters and artists and all that. So
Hey. All right. That's awesome.
Very cool.
yeah.
Yep. Andrew, you have anything you want to send us out on?
I don't think so. I think it's time to wrap this up.
All right. Well, to everyone listening, thanks for listening. Thanks for understanding. Until next time, this was the Get Offset podcast. I'm Emily.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sarah.
Goodbye.